are live, I think, on the Hake report. I was just telling the people to make sure you catch Bond clips on the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. Also on Odyssey, odyssey.com/@rebuildingtheman. And rumble.com/rebuildingtheman. Just FYI. But I am live on Rumble and Hake's Rumble, the Hake Report Rumble, and YouTube. Yes, I'm live on YouTube, I think. Am I live? And elsewhere. Let me check on Rumble, on Odyssey, I mean. Gonna have a fun loosey-goosey Tuesday show. We'll be getting to your calls. Yes, we are streaming on Odyssey. Gonna talk about the January 6th propaganda. Whole bunch of blind, brainwashed losers talking about... Am I streaming there? Did I select it? Let me see. Oh, no. Did I not select it? Ah. I'm mad. I'm mad. Sorry, guys. Those of you who... No, nothing you can do about it now, Nick. It's my fault. I set up the stream, and I didn't check it, but I didn't connect the stream on Restream. I'm always telling Sean to get this right, get it right, but I didn't check my own. What a mess. Here, over here. I guess. Okay, anyway, guys, we're going to talk about this fake history stuff. Let's see if I can shake it off. Shake it off. Bunch of propaganda, CRT, People's History of the United States or whatever, and January 6th was a terror attack or something like that, you know, insurrection or whatever. Dumb. It's silly, and so don't fall for it, guys. Okay? Man, I guess I'm just gonna have to... Is it going? Is it... Hold on. I'm still... No, I'm not changing. I can't change it. Yeah, post the link in the other stream. I can't change it. It's too late. We're going already. For those of you who may be lost on the alternative platforms or the podcast platform, I set up my YouTube, but I didn't connect it to the right... to connect it from the Restream thing. So it started another YouTube stream. Stupid. Anyway, let me see if I can at least turn this private or something like that, or something. Turn that off, go over here. What else is happening? There was a kidnapping in Mexico, guys. Did you hear about that? In Mexico, a kidnapping in Mexico of 4 Americans, and they were black Americans. They were confused with Haitians, is what people are thinking. Ridiculous. I guess, can I turn it unlisted? Hold on. I'm distracted here because I don't like this thing not working right. Unlisted. Done. Save. And then over here, let me go to here and fix this. Full shows. Boom. Yes. Okay. All that and your calls, guys. What a mess. What else do I want to cover today? Oh, Indian mascots. More propaganda. Indian mascots, like American Indians, they hurt the mental health of children. Makes me want to spit, these evil people. How about the anti-white propagandas? Does that hurt the mental health of children? Stupid. I'm throwing around the S word. Sorry, kids and parents. Not sorry, but forgive me. Regretfully. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine, even though I'm got mad right now. And I am wearing my Women's History Month t-shirt. I got this from Longo Toyota. See the woman right here? Isn't she pretty? It's an Oakley shirt. I got it from a Toyota dealership in El Monte. Longo Toyota. Shout out. Years ago. It's Women's History Month. It's cringy and liberal and silly. Mildly attractive. Yeah, thank you. Shout out to the Facebook crew. Makes you want to spit, but I cherish women. Just like our greatest president, Donald J. Trump. We cherish women on the Hake Report. And I'm on JLP's network, you may know, but the only months that Jesse respects is White History Month in July and Men's History Month in August. But we cherish women on the Hake Report. And JLP, I'm sure he loves women. Which is great, isn't it? Afternoon to you over there on the Rumble crew. People are already in afternoon over there on the Rumble crew. Rumble.com/The Hake Report. Let me tell you about, briefly, the January 6th propaganda is falling apart. But they're holding on to it. And they're going to be shameless about it. And just like when I argue with the black, or when anybody argues with the black, never argue with the blacks. Never argue with anyone. But when you're debating with them or telling them the truth, they will refuse, just like these communists, shamelessly just steamroll over whatever you have to say, whatever points you have to say. JLP is good at that too. He just steamrolls over your lame liberal side note points or intellectual side note points with the main point. But they steamroll with lies. JLP steamrolls with the truth, the basic truth, the big picture truth. And they'll try to caricature the big picture by saying, ooh, America was built on slavery of blacks and genocide of the Indians, of the American Indians, right? And it's a terrible lie. It's ridiculous. And that's the same thing with the January 6th propaganda. They propagandize Trump as a liar, biggest liar ever, such and such thousands of lies that he allegedly told. And a lot of stuff that they said were lies were the truth. And they were most upset when he told the truth, such as, like I've said many times, Mexico is not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. And that was a truth that had NBC and Univision, maybe, and whoever else was associated with him, running for the hills. I think NBC played The Apprentice show, maybe. I don't know. He had some sort of deal with them. Maybe they played his Miss Universe pageant or something. But he told the truth, and they hated him ever since. And they were hating him even before that. Back in 2011, 2012, he played like he was going to run for president. They went after his businesses. He backed off, and they backed off too. They hate him based on politics and because they believe in politics, not God, not truth. Tomorrow is International Women's Day, Hake, says Jupiter. Oh, nice. More propaganda. Ridiculous. So as I told you in Hake News, and it's stuff that I've been telling you forever. Oh, it was mostly peaceful Capitol protest. Tucker Carlson, is he my competitor? He called it mostly peaceful chaos. See? Mostly peaceful chaos. I said, oh, they were mulling around the Capitol like a museum, like it was a museum. Respectful. Grandmas went in, yet they were charged with parading and stuff like that. And even that guy, the guy whom they called the QAnon shaman, who had the horns on his head. Maybe that's what that guy was talking about, that caller who didn't want to repeat what his point was. Keith on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Maybe that's what he meant. The guy with the horns on his head. I thought he was talking about like calling somebody more like a devil, but maybe not. The QAnon shaman, who is like a Marine or some former military guy who's a little nutty, maybe. Silly, funny, well-meaning. I remember he walked into there was one scene footage that we played years ago, because this has been years ago, since January 6, 2021 AD, the mostly peaceful Capitol protest. There was a Stop the Steal rally, and I disavow the notion of stealing. There was no stealing going on. Except for Nancy Pelosi's laptop. But he's all, "Bippin' man, you guys are patriots. Good for you." Well, it turns out that we learned on the show yesterday, Tucker Carlson's show, that he was praying with those guys those Capitol Police officers who were escorting him around. He was praying with them, thanking the Lord. I assume he would be praying to the Lord. And he was a mostly peaceful protester, but CNN called him a rioter. A rioter. Do they ever call Black Lives Matter rioters, or do they call them protesters? Very selective with your language, Commie Nonsense Network. Commie Nonsense Network reported Fox News host Tucker Carlson aired newly released footage on his show yesterday, from the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Mostly peaceful protest. It was breached. They shouldn't have broken the windows. Whoever broke those windows. Don't know who. Some of them got caught up, as we've said from the beginning. JLP talked about. Oh, they got angry. They got caught up. They got excited, emotional. They walked into a trap to smear them. It included images of the mostly peaceful protester, smeared by CNN as a rioter known as the QAnon shaman, who was escorted around with cops, generally well-behaved. I think he was sentenced to 3 years, as well as Capitol Police officer, Trump-supporting Capitol Police officer, which we knew from the start, Brian Sicknick. And I had claimed falsely, because I was reading New York Slimes, or some other news outlet that was repeating from New York Slimes, that Brian Sicknick, the Trump-supporting officer, was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. But weeks later, we found out, oh, it was not a fire extinguisher. He died of a stroke the next day. At just 42 years old. After that, sometimes wild, partly riotous, but mostly peaceful Capitol protest, which they called an attack. The fake news, including Hake, had falsely said, oh, he was killed with a fire extinguisher. Other cops were hit with a fire extinguisher, but they survived just fine. And those guys who threw the fire extinguisher or swung it or whatever, they were charged, and rightly so. Were they feds? Who knows? House Speaker, the Speaker of the House in name only, Rhino Kevin McCarthy of Bakersfield, California, who's been gunning for power. He granted Tucker Carlson access to the more than 40,000 hours of Capitol security footage from January 6th. CNN and other so-called news organizations, propaganda organizations, also requested the footage. But based, Rhino Kevin McCarthy's office said they're still working out the process to make the footage more widely available. They did not comment further. And good for him, honestly. He's the one who functioned under Trump, but he's not really with Trump. But he functioned under him, Kevin McCarthy. So right on, Kevin McCarthy. He shouldn't be giving it to these people who, they cause trouble. You know, like CNN. CNN props up the Black Lives Matter stuff. Nonsense. Oh, hands up, don't shoot. hands up, don't shoot was a lie from the mainstream media and from the blacks probably, really, who were on the scene. Some of the blacks lied. Some of the blacks told the truth. At Ferguson, Missouri, 2014, Black Lives Matter riots, after the gentle giant Mike Brown did not have his hands up and say don't shoot, he was charging it. Former officer Darren Wilson, who lost his job for doing his job. Ridiculous. Widely smeared by Black Lives Matter I don't. Evil is real poisoned it. I can't say scumbags anymore. I can say it, but he violated my innocence by telling me what it meant. What it meant back in the day. It doesn't mean that anymore, man. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you what it means. Because this is a family-friendly, child-friendly show. Right, kids? That's right, Hake. But those people, they're dangerous with info because they'll selectively grab facts or even lie or misrepresent, and they'll put out stuff to smear the good people and to prop up the evil people, which is what they did with Black Lives Matter. Just the scum of the earth. I can say scum of the earth because that doesn't mean anything bad. I mean, it's not good to be the scum of the earth, right? But even King David, didn't he call himself lower than a worm? You're still a person, Black Lives Matter and mainstream media. Nice. So, by the way, you guys don't like Mike Pence, but I still like him. Vice President Mike Pence has asked a judge to block a subpoena for his testimony related to January 6th. Who's subpoenaing him? I thought the January 6th committee, the propaganda, the unselect committee was done with their stuff. He previously argued it was unconstitutional and unprecedented. So I have a tweet from Chuck Schumer related to this January 6th mess, and then I will get to your calls, guys. Chuck Schumer, the very unchristian person. He doesn't even look like a Christian, because he's not. He looks like a nice guy, I guess, maybe. But he's not a normal white, certainly. He tweeted, I will talk about, and this has probably already happened, I will talk about Tucker Carlson's outrageous manipulation of January 6th. Facts Today, with Facts Today at 10 a.m. on the Senate floor. This guy abusing his powerful position, elected position, right? Supposedly elected. No, it was totally on the up and up to pretend that, it's Tucker Carlson who's manipulating facts. Typical communists. Accuse them of doing what you do. Commie. No, commie's not even the right word. It's just an evil person. Maybe he is, but he's an evil person. And here's another tweet from another Trump hater, truth hater, who I sometimes like a little bit of what he says, because he didn't get the Super Bowl halftime show. Adam Kinzinger. Kinzinger? He married a Latina. Adam Kinzinger. Looks like a white guy with a punchable face, kind of like our greatest friend, Matt Gaetz, also has a punchable face. I disavow calling faces punchable, but it's just kind of funny. Adam Kinzinger. Look at that face. Punchable or not? I don't know. Whatever. He's only like an Air Force. Thanks for zooming in on that. Appreciate that. I have my handy-dandy sidekick, board operator, Hassan over here, making it happen. He's pulling in long hours today, 6 hours of board operation. Plus, 6 hours plus. If you count the pre-show stuff, yeah. Kinzinger is fighting with Rick Grinnell, who's a Trump guy. Richard Grinnell. I think he was like an ambassador or something like that under Trump. I don't know. He's a pretty competent guy. I don't know if he's a Christian, but he's like Trump friendly. He said, shame on you both, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. Shame on you both. And I believe that this is related to the January 6th coverage that Tucker exposed. Actually, Tucker didn't say much that was new. We all knew it. I've been talking about a lot of what Tucker said forever. But he did show some new footage that proved Sicknick was just fine. He wasn't dead the day of, anyway. So they're fighting, two egos fighting over who should be ashamed, right? Rick Grinnell, not exactly morally straight, but he's a Trump-supporting guy. I appreciate him for that. I remember he spoke one time down in, like, Palm Springs or somewhere, alongside Ann Coulter, and JLP spoke. So I've seen him before he was even in the Trump administration. Oh, trust me, Mr. Grinnell, says Adam Kinzinger. Between you and I, you and me, deep down, it isn't me that is ashamed. You know better, and you have sold yourself out to power. So claims Adam Kinzinger, who has retired. He's not running again. Maybe because he's not marketable. He can't market himself. Trump finished him. Even though he's young, he's like just a few years older than me, maybe. Adam Kinzinger, a Trump-hating guy. He's a never Trump type of guy. He married a woman who was Pence's assistant or something like that. Adam Kinzinger age. He was in the House of Representatives. He's only 45 years old with that punchable face. I don't call faces punchable, kids. A so-called Republican. A Republicant. And Liz Cheney, didn't she leave the Republican Party? Did Liz Cheney leave? Leaves Republican Party. I think she did. I forget. She's not important. She'll probably come on the scene to go against Trump later. But that's that. It's dumb. A whole lot of fighting. Like JLP said, this politics stuff, it's all ego. Don't take sides. A tweet. Here's a tweet, though, blaming Trump. Let me talk about this briefly, guys. Should Trump be to blame for not pardoning the January 6th mostly peaceful protesters, some of whom went a little out of control? I talked to one on my show who the feds busted down his door, and he was seen on security camera, I guess, inside the Capitol, walking in through a window. He thought it was a door. But then when he got to the window, maybe he knew it was a window. But he had the crowds pressing on him. That was his excuse for walking through the window. The crowds were pressing on him, you know, because it was very crowded. And he didn't do much, but he trespassed, I guess you could say, or walked through a broken window. He didn't break that window. But he was like he had some passion to him. Don't be too passionate. Don't be passionate. Some anger to him. I think he was trying to date a single mother at one point. My friend who called into my show, who was a January 6th guy who got his door busted down. I don't know if it was busted down, but the feds arrested him. He was in some trouble because they come down extra hard on the people who are for what's right, but go outside the lines a little bit too much. And they went down extra hard on him. So here's a tweet blaming Trump. Cernovich tweeted out. And he tweeted multiple things like this over the years, really. He said, as I reported 2 days after January 6, 2021, January 8th, he tweeted, Trump chose himself over the January 6ers. He didn't want to be convicted at impeachment. And that's why he didn't do the pardons, the blanket pardon of January 6th protesters who protested in his favor that day. You can call that the right choice, but make that argument. Say Trump running again matters more than January 6ers. Does it? I don't know. Does it matter more? Does Trump running again matter more than the January 6ers? Maybe. January 6ers did walk into a trap. They were some of them were foolish going in there. Some of them, I don't know how they could know that they were actually, because the cops were like waving them in, right? In some places. Other places, no, they were too excited, overexcited. Source confirms Senate head, this is from 2021, Cernovich tweeted out. He's a journalist guy. Hit and miss, but I like him. Senate had the needed Republican votes to convict Trump in the impeachment trial. Don't expect Trump to do any interesting pardons. He's been told the votes are there, but that it's suicide for GOP to be put in that position. Would split the party in half. That's when they were talking about, oh, Trump needed to pardon Julian Assange, and who else did they need him to pardon? Edward Snowden, and some of them wanted him to do a blanket pardon of January 6ers. I don't know if he even thought of that. Maybe he did, because there were some people calling for that. January 6th to January 20th. That's 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks to think about it. But he was thinking about a lot at that point. And some people think, oh, you can't do a blanket pardon before you're even charged. But no. According to the Department of Justice, this is a screenshot shared by Cernovich. Pardon on J6, per the DOJ, it would be highly unusual, but there have been a few cases where people who had not been charged with a crime were pardoned, including, show the DOJ one next, Hassan. Specifically the highlighted portion. This is from the DOJ website. There were people who had not been charged with a crime but were pardoned, including President Gerald Ford's pardon of President Richard Nixon. Based Richard Nixon. Was he a good guy? I think maybe. After Watergate. President Jimmy Carter pardoned Vietnam draft dodgers. Can I speak? It's a tongue twister, guys. And I stutter sometimes. Jimmy Carter pardoned the Vietnam draft dodgers, and President George H.W. Bush the daddy, his pardon of Caspar Weinberger, whoever that was. Our greatest president, Donald J. Trump, pardoned Joe Arpaio, and others after they were charged and convicted, but prior to sentencing. Based Joe Arpaio. Joe Arpaio says Trump is my hero. And he didn't have a hero before that. Shout out to Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who's like 90 years old now. A real American hero. Good for him. And Claston Bernard, who has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show before, he said in response to somebody else, that somebody had claimed that Trump bailed on the people who supported him on January 6th. Pardoned all his white-collar buddies and blacks before leaving office. And Claston Bernard said, Claston Bernard is a Jamaican guy. He's an American guy, but he came here from Jamaica. Olympic athlete, talented guy. I think he ran for office over there in... I forget which state he's from, like Minnesota or one of those states. He said, this is like blaming the guns, and not the criminals who use the guns. That's what those people are who are turning on Trump over not pardoning the January 6th guys, is what he says. I think he's saying. People were falsely detained, and you are mad at Trump. Yeah, some people were falsely detained. Or extra hard, what punishment doesn't fit the crime, or the detainment doesn't fit the crime. Something isn't right about that kind of thinking, he says. The ones who concocted the Soviet plot. He ran in Louisiana, says Big Bump. Thank you, Claston Bernard. The ones who concocted the Soviet plot are responsible. Yeah, you're holding Trump responsible for... it's not like they're not going after Trump, too. They're going after everybody. And what did Trump really know? What did Trump really know about how bad it was going to be for the January 6ers? As Zurich says, Trump didn't tell them folks to go down there and act like a wild monkey. He said go down there peacefully make your voices heard. We need peace, he said. And how did he? Who did he know? What if he did a blanket pardon? What if some of those are feds, or some of those are Antifa, or some of those are Black Lives Matter? Which some of them, one of them in particular, was a Black Lives Matter, what was called a grifter by other Black Lives Matter people. That light-skinned guy, John Sullivan, or something like that. Earl, Sullivan, something or other, who was like, burn this B-word down. He was trying to get people doing evil stuff. Just an excitable, I don't want to say scumbag, but scumbag. Not like that. Evil is real. Man, he's poisoned my mind. Evil is real, poisoning my mind. Jaden X is his name? No, wait, I don't know. So, right on, Claston Bernard. So anyway, I'm going to get to more history propagandist mess. It's ridiculous. But first, let me get to a call or two, guys. It's 9:30 a.m. here in L.A., 32 specifically. Josh in Georgia is on the line. Josh, thanks for calling and holding. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Hake. How you doing, sir?
Doing fine. Thank you.
Sir, happy Women's History Month.
We cherish women, don't we? Maybe
we
too
cherish
much.
them, baby.
Right on.
Yes, sir. I was calling about the well. First, I was going to ask you. You said you were in Vegas on Saturday. Did you hear about that MMA UFC fight?
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah. Who won, the black guy or the blacker guy? The light-skinned black guy?
It was a black American guy versus a black guy from France.
Oh, okay.
And the black American guy's name is John Jones.
Uh-huh.
He's like, they say he's the greatest MMA fighter of all time, and I believe he is.
Oh, really?
And it's just a perfect example of how blacks are entertaining, man. It's another perfect example as to, like, he was born to do that. Like, if you watch his fights and all that, it's like, I don't know. It made me think of how you always say blacks are entertaining.
Right. I did not know that. I didn't know that he was that good. That's cool. Right on. Good.
Yeah.
So he won?
Yeah. He has a lot of haters because he's that good.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't really know him, but
okay.
Yeah, he's that level. But anyway, I was also going to call about you're talking about propaganda.
Yeah.
In the Civil War, pretty much. I heard that guy on the Fallen State a couple weeks ago, and he said that the Civil War ended, pretty much nullified the Constitution.
Yeah.
After they didn't allow the South to secede.
You're talking
and
about.
I'd say it had nothing to do with slavery. It was pretty much about industrialization. The North, they found a more efficient way to enslave people, and they had to impose it,
Yeah.
on the South.
Yeah, very interesting. I agree. That was Legal Man on the Fallen State a few weeks back.
Legal Man. Yeah.
Legal Man. Interesting guy. Yeah, he's right.
And just like this January 6th, all the propaganda going on, I think the fact they even say that it had anything to do with slavery, I think that was all just propaganda as well. It doesn't make sense to me that 5,000 Northerners would say, "Oh, slavery is wrong. We're going to go fight a war just to free black people because we love, white people up north. They don't care nothing about black people."
Right.
So I think that's it was just like the January 6th lie. They're doing the same thing, back then that they're doing today.
I heard that 600,000 Americans died in the Civil War.
600,000?
600,000.
Dang.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a grip of people.
And,
grip.
Who
came up
and
with
that
the
guy,
word grip? Is that a
he
black
also
word?
said, all wars are bankers' wars. It's like, it's all about the money, and it's like it was
Money and the power.
industrialization versus agrarian lifestyle, country boys versus city boys, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, terrible, man.
And then the result is that are you not allowed to show your rebel flag at all?
No,
anymore?
I can. I just don't want to get into the habit of it. I just want to.
Okay.
I totally could if I wanted to. It's just that I don't like having to switch back and forth, and
yeah,
and then
man.
I'm on JLP's. I'm on JLP's
right.
channel too, and I have it.
Oh, you might get him
there.
right.
I wonder if I do this consistently, perhaps we'll get remonetized. But yeah,
right.
I still greatly appreciate the South and the beautiful flag, and
yeah,
and it's about love. The people who hate it are about hate. But if then if you hate the people who hate the flag, then it's two haters.
You're a devil too. Two devils fighting, right?
True. Terrible.
Yep. And
I
I'm black,
agree.
man. I may get me a rebel flag shirt and just start wearing it around, and just to.
I remember you told me you wish I would wear my rebel flag T-shirt more. I think you were the one who said that.
Yeah, it makes you look like you're not scary, like.
Right.
You can automatically tell, okay, this dude isn't like the typical white dude. That's scared of racism,
Yeah. The Civil War, the so-called Civil War, the War of Northern Aggression, one guy told me it was called. The war between the states was a violation of the Constitution, I think, because it was the end of it, because the secession is constitutional. The South voted to secede. Those southern states voted to secede from the Union, and you have a right to do that. But I sort of understand, I guess, Abe Lincoln's.
It makes
he wanted the country united, but that's kind of like it's kind of like Putin saying Ukraine needs to be part of Russia, basically,
right
or something.
Right.
I don't know if Putin's still doing that, but it's like that's what's happening. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really it's just like a man and a woman in a marriage fighting each other,
Yeah.
And it's like,
and the woman
is being difficult to deal with.
Yep.
So the man, he either he leaves, or which is maybe the situation, or he stays and tries to do. But usually when he stays, it's he's dead anyway.
Right.
It's like whether there's children involved. I think it's all everything can be explained by, Adam and Eve, pretty much. Or all men-women relationships,
Yeah.
That's the same thing with wars, but if the man gets mad at the woman and starts fighting her, then it's just two devils fighting. And it was definitely not worth 600,000 people dying over whatever it was, but
right.
I think that's what happens when two devils fight, right?
And from what I understand, slavery was on its way out already, naturally. It would have ended naturally. It would have ended or continued naturally, and it would have been better than what we have now. We have forced end of slavery and forced integration. I think segregation might have ended more naturally, and it would have been more reasonable. It would have been better because then there wouldn't have been, the black communities wouldn't have been enabled to be ghettos and criminal and supported without working. They were coming together naturally in the South, I heard. Those who were up for that. And those who weren't, that's fine too. This is America. You can associate with whom you want to. You can shape your community how you want to. But no, the feds and the states and the bigger, more central governments are imposing on the free people. What a shame.
Yep. That's what they do. And you know, I think the South was too powerful because they depend on farming and, you know, what God, you know, what in the Bible said we have to earn our
work the ground
through our toiling or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the industrialization is like technology comes in. Now they're putting us in factories, and now we work for a paycheck and can get laid off. But if you know how to farm, you know, you can. You know the song "A Country Boy Can't Survive," right?
I have not heard that song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know the chat knows what I'm talking about. But that's a you know, you can live off the land. You know, my grandpapa taught me to live off the land.
Nice.
Instead of being a businessman, you know, you can go anywhere and survive. You know, so
it's a good skill. That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to work.
Yep.
Nice, man. Appreciate it, Josh.
All right, no problem, man. I love the show. Keep it up, man.
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, sir. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Tate is a first-time caller in California on the line. Tate, how are you doing, man? Are you there? Come off of mute. He's a first-time caller. He may be a boomer or a Gen Xer. Come off of mute, man. Let me put him on hold. Tate's not ready. He's new. Well, can you check on Tate for me? Sean out there, maybe. Or Nico or somebody. Check on Tate, because Tate's not ready. But Tate is great. Nah, Kate is great. This is Women's History Month, guys and gals. And speaking of womanly history, it's ridiculous. Here's a history propagandist. He's very effeminate, in my opinion. January 6th and CRT. This is clip 11. And Wokeness is a Twitter account that shared this from CNN. Ken Burns. Ever heard of him? Never heard of him. He's a director, documentary filmmaker. I'll show you pictures of him in a second. On Tucker Carlson, releasing the January 6th footage. It's a huge threat to our republic, he says. At least he didn't call it a democracy. You can tell he's part white. Oh, there he is. Thank you, Hassan. Look at him. Doesn't he look sort of a little too smiley and soft? And shave that, man. Either shave it or grow it out, but make up your mind. Nah, whatever. And his hair is kind of like how his beard is. But okay, maybe it's natural, but it doesn't look totally natural to me. His beard is like gray, and you could barely call that a beard. It's like scruff. It's more than a 5 o'clock shadow. And, you know, he's slim. It's good to be slim. And then he has his black hair. Is that dyed black? And it's like a bushy black hair. Anyway, I'm commenting on his appearance. And so he's also bashing in this clip. It's a 30-second clip. It kind of starts in the middle of it and then it ends in the middle of it. He bashes the Florida education bill as an assault on liberties, is what the Chiron says. Is that how you pronounce it? Chiron? He's bashing what DeSantis and Republicans are doing against the CRT, critical race theory, nonsense, mumbo-jumbo, communist, false history. Like what Trump did. Trump stood against I think it was called a People's History of the United States or something like that, by Howard Zinn. I remember Trump named Howard Zinn. Howard Zinn, not a Christian, by the way. He's not even living anymore. His son is still around, standing up on behalf of his father's dumb propaganda, pretending America was built on slavery and genocide. Here's the clip. Ken Burns on Commie Nonsense Network, CNN, with 2 or 3 other CNN people. Maybe it was on a morning show. I don't know when this was, but I think it was actually maybe even this morning, talking about, you know, the fake history of black slavery, you know, with the 1619 Project mumbo jumbo and all that. Here he is, Ken Burns.
DeSantis and others are doing limit our ability to understand who we are and are not inclusive. They're exclusive. They're narrowing the focus of what is and isn't American history. It's terrifying. It feels like a Soviet system, or the way the Nazis would build a Potemkin village. Tucker Carlson's doing the same thing with the footage from 1/6. It's just a kind of rewriting of history at the most dangerous level. It's a huge threat to our republic.
Wow. What a lying, effeminate propagandist liberal. And he is. I looked him up. This Ken Burns guy, I feel like I'd seen him around before. I'd seen him on, like news reports or something before. But I wasn't really familiar with him. Kenneth Loren Burns. Born in 1953, so-called American filmmaker known for his documentary films. And he's made a bunch of them. The Civil War, one called The Civil War in 1990. Probably a bunch of hogwash, to steal a term from Asmodor, our resident historian, real historian. Oh, look at him. Yeah, The Civil War, Baseball, 1994. The National Parks, 2009. The Roosevelts, 2014. The Vietnam War, 2017. Country Music, 2019. Oh, and he's a Democrat. A Democrat. A male, grown, adult Democrat. What's his early life? He was born in New York. Okay, all right. Born in New York. Got to cut him a little bit of slack there. He didn't know better. His family moved frequently. Hippies. He described his family as hippies. Okay. Don't know much. Can't tell if he's a normal white or Christian, or doesn't seem like a Christian. If his family were hippies, no hippies are Christians. No Christians are hippies. Except for the liberal musicians. The U.S. and the Holocaust. Whatever, man. Rewriting of history. Look, he's all into the spotlight. Look at him in the front. Well, I don't know how into the spotlight he is, just based on the photograph, but is he dyeing his hair? To me, that doesn't look natural. Looks a little, but anyway. We're bashing him hard on the Hake Report. These are pictures from his Wikipedia. It's all soft. Oh, soft. His father-in-law was a psychologist, one of his fathers-in-law. He told me that my whole work was an attempt to make people long gone come back alive. He was well-read as a child. He absorbed the family encyclopedia, preferring history to fiction. Well, isn't that cute? Look at that guy with his soft, girly smile on Today Show. All the liberal media loves him, apparently. This guy, CNN propagandist. What is that one? Oh, he put out a new book a couple months ago. Our America, a photographic history. So, this guy's pretending that, Trump protecting the whites and the blacks from false black victimhood propaganda, and the Indians from false Indian genocide propaganda, and pushing that we push the truth rather than LGBT propaganda. I don't know where he stands on the LGBT stuff, but he is a demon rat, according to his Wikipedia, Democrat. And Tucker Carlson giving a little bit more balance, actually a lot more balance to the January 6th narrative. Give me a break. Calling it a threat to our democracy, rewriting history, not inclusive. That's a dumb liberal, communist, female-minded buzzword. Today's show scum, says Lisa. Shout out to Lisa, our resident health expert. Mina says something about him that I disavow. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Give me a break. It's terrifying. It's like the commies, Soviet. It's like the Nazis thing. How about the false propaganda about Trump, the false propaganda about January 6th, the false propaganda about Charlottesville? Hello, Trump told the truth about Charlottesville. Very balanced, perhaps too balanced, perhaps too fair. The mainstream media, yeah, we're rewriting history because you have fake history. You put fake history, liberals. Anyway, let me get to Tate in California. He is ready, I do believe. Tate.
Hello.
Hey, first-time caller. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I was arguing with one of the people in the chat.
Oh, okay.
He said that I wasn't the real Earl.
You weren't the real Earl?
Yeah, real Earl. That's because I wanted to talk to you about Lori Lightfoot.
You wanted to talk to me about Lori Lightfoot. Go.
Yeah. What do you think? Who do you think would be the next mayor after Lori Lightfoot?
Oh, man, I couldn't tell you. I hope that it's the guy who the police are on his side for the sake of the Chicagoans. But it may well be that Brandon Johnson, not the good Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, they need to bring back the automobile industry back because China took all that from us.
Yeah, well, I mean, they took it from us because we gave it up because we brought in the unions. We brought in what was it called, NAFTA?
That was a very beta move right there. I don't know who decided to do that.
What, the unions? Or NAFTA, or both?
All the union stuff and all the giving up jobs to the third world countries, that's very beta.
Yeah, I mean, minimum wage is a very beta thing to have. We should not be having minimum wage, too. All kinds of things. Oh,
and one last thing I would say that William Renner in the chat, he's a beta.
Oh, well, I'll cut you some slack for saying that because we don't do chat wars. We don't do wars with the chat on the Hake Report. So don't worry about William Renner and William Renner. Don't worry about Tate. So, yeah, don't do that.
That's it.
But I appreciate your call, man. Good to hear from you, man. Call me again sometime.
All right.
All right. Take care. Tate in California? Nice. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, we don't do drama, fighting, mess. Unless it's entertaining, and even then it's hit and miss. Follow my lead. How about that? Do I have time to cover this? Let me see if I can plow through this. It's a bit long, but let's see if I can finish it. Indian mascots are hurting the mental health of children, says this. I saw some liberal male writer, speaking of these liberal males, post this on Twitter, on his Twitter a month or so ago. Summary of the APA, American Psychological Association, talking about a communist buzzword, forsake pastors and counselors and men of God and fathers and God within, Deus Intra, shout out to Deus Intra, forsake all that and go to psychologists. Sorry, kids, don't imitate retarded people. APA resolution recommending retirement of American Indian mascots. And I love that they call it American Indian. That's how you know that this is so 2005, because nowadays they call it, Native American. Dumb. This is a quote from President Ronald F. Levant, EDD. He has an educational doctorate, I guess, former APA president. The use of American Indian mascots as symbols in schools and university athletic programs is particularly troubling. Oh, are you troubled, Mr. Psychologist? Psychologists, I thought they were supposed to have a stable mind, not troubled by anything. Losers. Don't say losers too much, kids. Because schools are places of learning. Oh, yes, let's pretend like we're watching out for the kids. Same people pretend that gay is not a mental illness, right? It's a spiritual illness too. These mascots are teaching stereotypical, misleading, and too often insulting images of American Indians. These negative lessons are not just affecting American Indian students, they are sending the wrong message to all students. Says this Ronald F. Levant, who doesn't sound like a Christian to me. Certainly doesn't look like one, out of Los Angeles. A psychologist, professor, former president of Un-American, more like, Psychological Association, Psycho Association. He graduated from Berkeley and Harvard. No early life check for him on YouTube. Anyway, whatever. So in 2005, the APA called for the immediate retirement of all American Indian mascots. American Psychological Association getting all self-important, trying to involve themselves in the culture because they're irrelevant. But the more irrelevant they make themselves, the more the people listen to scum like them. I can say scum, right? Don't say that too much, kids. The worse society gets. The more female-minded liberal male it gets. In 2005, the APA called for the immediate retirement of those things, and they're still doing it, right? I liked seeing Trump do the tomahawk chop. Some say I'm not part Indian. I might be. I might not be. Based on a growing body of social science, which is a communist buzzword, social science literature that shows harmful effects of racial stereotyping and inaccurate racial portrayals, including particularly harmful effects of American Indian sports mascots on the social identity development and self-esteem. Self-esteem! Not confidence, self-esteem. You want to esteem yourself. I remember reading about self-esteem in like 4th grade, and then I had a dream about it. Some girl I liked said, "It's self-esteem." I'm like, shut up. Like in 4th grade. What is offensive about the tomahawk chop? I don't know, but dumb, liberal, fake Christian Stephen Colbert said, oh, the NFL wants to end racism, but the fans are going, the tomahawk chop, so much for ending racism. The NFL fails to end racism. Dumb. So anyway, I have the whole report. There's a woman named Stephanie Freiberg, PhD at University of Arizona. These people have infiltrated everywhere. Undermines the ability of American Indian nations to portray accurate and respectful images of their culture. Presents stereotypical images of American Indians, is a form of discrimination against American Indians. Dumb. Everybody discriminates. It's funny, it's fun, and it's an honor. If you're too sour grapesy to take that as an honor, then two on your ideas, not you. I was going to say two on you, but no, we don't spit on people. To eradicate the hurtful presence of stereotypical imaging of American Indians. Meanwhile, you're stereotyping whites as racist all the time. Oh, look at that. There's another one of their things. In some other study, peer-reviewed studies. This is why I spit on the notion of peer-reviewed studies. More like pew-review studies or something. The psychological effects of Native American mascots. See, this one is more recent. They started calling them Native Americans. I'm Native American. If you were born here under the, all that stuff, then you are a real Native American. These people are American Indians. So the APA, trash. I will get to your calls, guys. Now it's time for some music. Yes, music. Hake music. Or is it fake music? Or is it both? Oh, this is for the kids who are parents. Originally by the Shaggs. I disavow the Shaggs. It's a girl group. 3 sisters. Christians, I think. Covered by Danielson family. It's a Christian band. Hope you enjoy it, guys. Press mute. Cover your ears or grin and bear it. This is from the 2001 compilation Better Than the Beatles, a tribute to the Shaggs. Song originally by the Shaggs from their 1969 album Philosophy of the World, which was in the top 5 favorite albums of that guy who killed himself from Nirvana. That's what I heard. I was reading about it. But enjoy, ya musical Philistines, and I'll be right back for the rest of our 2 Hang Tight.
Some kids do as they please. They don't know what life really means. They don't listen to what the ones who really care have to say. They just go and do things their own way. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who are always there. Some kids think their parents are cruel just because they want them to obey certain rules. Then they start turning from the ones who really care. Turning from the ones who will always be there. Our parents. Parents are the ones who care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who are always there. Parents do understand. Parents do care. We must remember. Parents are the ones who will always understand. Parents are the ones who really Parents do understand. Parents do care. We must remember. Parents are the ones who will always understand. Parents are the ones who really care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who are always there. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who are always there.
Too much xylophone.
Who are parents? Parents are the ones who care. Who are parents? Parents are the ones who are always there.
Well, wasn't that nice? This song is about Hake. Nirvana. LOL. Frog Eyes is greater than Kurt No Brains. Oh, Lord. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through that beautiful music. I could mosh to this, says DJ Alan Paul. That's right. He has good taste. Thank you to Spoiler Alert, who shares the track. Nice. Let me check for some super chats, guys, over here. Oh, yes, indeed. There are some super chats here on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Willie Pal gave support and said, good show, Hake. Keep up with the good work. Clap. Applause. Appreciate that, man. Thank you kindly, as always, for the support. Someone bought a coffee. Yeah. Heard, and I heard this too, I mentioned it in Hake News, that California mountain towns are covered in several feet of global warming, which is to say, snow. Or as my brother used to say when he was a little kid, no. Except his nose wasn't as stuffed up. Newsom, as in Gavin Newsom, not to be confused with Joanna Newsom, who is his cousin. Shout out to Joanna Newsom, great musician as well. Declared a state of emergency. Then went to Baja for vacay. Oh yeah, somebody told us that. Was that Evgeny Crosby who said that Gavin Newsom is vacationing in Mexico? Yeah. What's up, Evgeny Crosby? We finally know how to pronounce your name, even though that may not be your real name. Somebody on Twitter told us that Evgeny and Crosby are two talented tennis players. Not tennis. Hockey players. I got hockey hair, yes I do. At least emergency services are working, goes on someone. Someone goes on with this super chat. Coffee. Emergency services are working, but taking weeks instead of days to clear the roads. Who cares about those more conservative mountain people anyway? That's right. Whenever I go up to beautiful Big Bear, I like to go up to Big Bear. It's fun. I even saw a Confederate rebel flag flying on a truck. You know the one that I am hiding right now? This one? Hey, nice. I just saw a ghost. The ghost who is returning for his weekly show. A light-skinned ghost. He's not that light-skinned. 30% white. Who cares about those more conservative mountain people anyway? Yeah, they're more conservative. I once wore a Free George Zimmerman t-shirt when I was, like in 2013 and 2012. Maybe it was even the day that George Zimmerman was acquitted because he was totally innocent, or quite innocent, in that, totally innocent in regards to what he was charged with. Murder? Give me a break. Or in other things, violating Trayvon's civil rights, so-called civil rights or something. I don't know if they tried to do that, pull that one on him. Yeah, those more, and those people were like, oh, nice shirt. I'm so glad that he got off because that was such an injustice. Yeah, there are more conservative, sensible people in those mountain towns. Surely Newsom planned ahead to build new reservoirs to capture the runoff when it melts. Yeah, exactly. Not. The phony politicians do not. They've had a mandate from the voters since like 2014. This is not part of the super chat. I'm just reacting. To build up the reservoirs. And for decades, they've been supposed to build up the reservoirs here in California because we have droughts every so often, right? When I was a kid, we had a drought. When I'm an adult, we have a drought. So we're supposed to build up the reservoirs so we're prepared, right? And we can maintain more of a surplus of water. But no, they don't do it. They have these environmental concerns and all kinds of phony things. False concerns, I think, probably. P.S. Buy Me a Coffee seems to need spaces in the name so it shows up as something other than someone. Testing the idea with this super chat. Huh, funny. Oh, so you didn't call yourself someone. Interesting. Carver didn't have a space in his name. Anyway, I don't know. Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that. Buy me a coffee. I learned about that from Nightwave Radio, and I think he got his Buy Me a Coffee platform back, but I still am on Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/the Hake Report. So appreciate that, guys. Let me check over here on Rumble as well as Odyssey. Nice. And D-Live, because DJ Jean-Paul sometimes sneaks in a diamond without my noticing. So, let me get to Denny in Bulgaria on the line. Denny, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Hake. I hope things are well with you.
Doing well. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Glad to hear. Mr. Hake, I'm calling because I was listening to your program and a remarkable segment about so-called slavery was there on. And I wanted to highlight something that, first of all, in the less developed regions like Africa, even today there are slaves. There's a slave market in Libya right now as we speak. So what ended the slavery was the industrialization, because, and I don't want to sound rude, I don't want to, trouble anyone or anything, I just want to highlight the fact that right now, even today, people are basically commodity. Right. So let's say you work in a factory or something. It might be a little bit difficult. It might be troublesome. Yet, this is going to be, you will be treated as a commodity because there's no point in hiring somebody, teaching them how to work, teaching them what to do, and then work them to death. Even if it's something that's a manual labor or something like that, everything requires a specific level of finesse. So it doesn't work like that. There were, of course, abuses in the slave relationships. But then again, you can see those same things in today's world, where there are big companies that are abusing their workers. Those workers are overwhelmed and underpaid.
Yeah.
They don't have enough to afford their own homes. So basically, they're working and they have no savings and no chance of having any savings. So that's not really that different from what was back then. Because, in fairness, the slaves weren't sleeping on the field or anything. They were housed. And it's been like that in the Roman Empire. It's been like that in Asia. And I sincerely doubt that things were very, very different across the ocean because it's the same methodology. It's a commodity. I'm not sure, but let's say, Mr. Hake, that you own a car, right? And you own a car. Maybe you don't abuse the machine, right? I'm certain that you can buy a new one, but, if this one works, so why would you abuse it?
Right.
You have to use it. You're taking care of it.
Yep.
Same thing as having a horse. And I don't want to compare a horse to a slave or to a car or anything. I'm just giving it as an example because I think people are not seeing very clearly. Again, I don't want to insult anyone.
Right.
And I don't want to sound rude.
No, I agree with you, man. There was a I don't know if you heard my coverage last week of that family. One side of the family were the slave owners, and the other side of the family were slaves, or started Black History Month.
That was so stupid. That was ridiculous. Yes,
It was. But one of them, the white male, apologized for the Holocaust that he said that his ancestors put upon the black ancestors. And that's not a Holocaust. Slavery is not a Holocaust. What the heck? You're right.
First, it's not Holocaust. Those people don't know what the word Holocaust means.
Right.
And second of all, I don't deal with ifs, but, let's, for the sake of the argument, let's say my father owes you $10, right? And let's say he dies. Does that mean that I owe you $10 now? Because I don't think so. It's between you and him, and it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
So the same is, and again, I'm just giving this as an example. I don't want to sound rude or anything. But, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Whatever the previous generation did was for the previous generation to the previous generation, and I don't think anything that serious was done in all fairness.
I agree.
Again,
they were fed and housed and clothed. That's too, and again, the comparison with today. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're free to work wherever you want, but this mentality, this poisonous mentality, I would say, that somebody owes you something, that the most disgusting thing I've seen in my life was a few years ago. I was watching the local news, and there was a young man in his 20s. He was being interviewed, and he said that he didn't know which party he will vote for because he doesn't know who will take care of him. And this was a body-able man, young man, working able, and it was disgusting. And this was his mentality. And because that kind of a mentality, it doesn't matter which party holds power at the moment. If this is your mentality, you're always going to be a slave.
Right.
So even back then, the problem was never really slavery. It was people's mentality. And honestly, it was disgusting. So that segment that you played reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Nice, man. Appreciate your input. That's
appreciate
logic.
Taking me. I beg your pardon?
I said that's logic. Manly logic. Objectivity.
It is objective.
Yep.
And with that said, Mr. Hake, I would like to thank you for taking my call. Kind regards to your viewers and your colleagues, and God be with you, sir.
Thank you. You as well, Denny. Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye. Denny in Bulgaria. Earl is a first-time caller in Compton, California, I assume. Earl, thanks for calling, man. How you doing?
Hello, Hake.
Hey.
It's me, Earl. It's Earl from Earl Hutchinson from Jesse Lee Peterson's show in the 1990s.
Oh, really? Earl, is it... Wait, Earl Ofari?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, Earl Hutchinson.
Earl Hutchinson. Earl Ofari Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Are you trolling me right now, or are you serious?
No, I was on his show in 1990 with those three other black guys. Like, he black.
But he went by Earl Ofari Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So you're 77 years old?
Yeah. No, that show was amazing. Remember when they were debating over Clarence Thomas?
Yeah, that was before Clarence Thomas was confirmed as the Supreme Court Justice in like 1991. JLP interviewed Earl Ofari Hutchinson, who's a liberal political analyst type of guy, activist.
Wait, he became liberal? I thought he was right wing, like Republican.
Oh, maybe he is, but compared to Jesse, he's liberal. Like, you know how these black so-called conservatives are? There's like people who are, he was, I don't know, I don't think of him as very conservative. He's on Twitter, by the way, I think. Earl Hutchinson. He believes in racism, so I think of him as being a liberal.
Oh, do you know how I would be able to get onto the phone and speak with Jesse, like having an interview with him?
As Earl Ofari Hutchinson or as you yourself?
As me.
Either way, contact the producer, go into the fallenstate.tv and look into, there's like a contact form or come on the show type of thing, and you just like fill out a little bit of information, maybe show a video of yourself, and go from there. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's, anyway. Oops, he cut out. He hung up, guys. Sorry for that noise, that loud noise. But thank you, Earl, from Compton. Interesting call. Oh, I've been wanting to get to Jeff in Louisiana. Earl, I guess you can call back, but it sounded like you were about done. Thanks, man. Jeff in Louisiana is on the line. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Okay, man. How about yourself, Hake?
Doing well, thank you. It's good to hear from you.
I just want to ask you a thing. I mean, you don't say nothing specifically, but the way you comment, what do you have against unions, like union work?
It's not the work that I have a problem with. It's the unions.
Not the work, but the union itself. I mean, the unions.
Right. Unions were started by socialists, sleazy people, generally. And maybe it's completely all of them. They were started by people who are wolves in sheep's clothing. They tend to target the more ingrate of the, say a workforce is not unionized. Unions try to come in and say, hey, you guys should unionize. And they target the angry ones, as JLP has pointed out. And the union bosses are oftentimes crooks, criminals, corrupt, at least morally corrupt, if not legally corrupt. And also, they tend to support Democrats. Now, some of the old school unions, some of them are more like pro-America. They weren't for the illegals coming in, like Cesar Chavez. One of those guys, he didn't like what he called wetbacks, which is the illegals coming in, because he was for the union, American worker unions, right? So they're kind of hit and miss on some ways, and some of the union guys really like Trump, because Trump is just a real guy. So there are some real people in the unions. There's good people in the unions, but at the top they're not. They support Democrats. Go ahead.
Okay, but where I'm coming from is I worked for the same type of business I've been a utility worker, worked on power poles and everything else. I worked for the same business or same type of business, did the same thing. One was a union, one was not.
Uh-huh.
I spent 6 years at the one that was not union.
Yep.
And by the time I left, I was making, I ain't going to say what I was making, but I left there after 6 years. I went to a union company, and my pay went up $12 an hour. And
it went up by $12 extra an hour on top of what you were making before?
Yeah, $12 an hour pay raise just from switching. And then when you go to a union, if you go to, say you go to Walmart, then you work at Walmart, and your boss just, pisses you off or something or does something, you say, well, screw him.
Uh-huh.
And here's you walking off, he can fire you immediately.
Right.
But with the union, they can't.
Right. Isn't that corrupting? That's what you just described sounds like it's both spoiling and corrupting, because maybe you're not actually worth that extra $12 an hour, and it's just costing. Hold on, let me finish my point. It's just costing more jobs, and then you can't be fired even though you're a bad worker with a bad attitude. And so these unions, they make it cushy for their union workers. They make it nice and you're more protected, but it's not good for the long run because you're driving business out into China, because in China they don't have unions maybe, and so they don't have to pay a grip of money, using that word again, to the union. They don't have to pay union stuff. They don't have to take union breaks. They don't have to get all this minimum base pay for people who aren't even really worth all that money.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to apply to.
Okay.
First off, they're not flying somebody over here from China to come a power pole, hook up, do work on power lines.
Right.
They're not doing that. The second thing is.
But they are. They're bringing in all kinds of immigrants over here.
But they're not
illegals.
doing that.
And some of them, I know Hispanics who may or may not be illegals who have been climbing power poles and making all kinds of money, taking advantage of that same union mess.
But you're in California, you're not going to do that all over the country. They don't fly them in. They just cross the border and they let them in. They don't fly them in.
Yeah, they do. They fly.
It's not outsourcing jobs.
It is
based on the company policy. It is company policy, but it's in countries that are close to the border our states close to the border, they come over like that.
No, those people, illegals are shipped all around the country, man, and immigrants too. They've been letting in.
Biden come in.
What's that? Since decades.
Biden come in.
For decades, they've been doing it. Maybe 100 years.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's many Democrats, so Trump ain't rid of them. But then the second thing is just like, okay, y'all, it's hard to say this because y'all don't feel angry, y'all feel emotional, whatever. But if you walk in the morning and JLP says something to you that's derogatory, or you say something to him like, he says, hey, Hake, why are you late? Man, I had something happen. Without a union, he can fire you on the spot because he don't like you. But without a union, he can't fire you. He has to write you up, and you have to go in front of a meeting with your union board.
And the union board is corrupt.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is corrupt. Most of these people, it's just you're adding corruption on corruption.
Okay, man. I'll let you after this. I want to say this way.
Okay.
You never worked for a union, so you don't know. But I disagree with you on that. But it's not.
But what you described, I get that you're more protected, and I get that you get better pay, and I get that you get those union breaks and all that stuff. But that's spoiling. And and everything that I just said stands because unions support Democrats, not the good Democrats. They support evil Democrats. So all your union pay, and there's people who work for teachers, like people who are a teacher in California, you have to pay dues to the so-called teachers unions. And those teachers unions just support Democrats and the more corruption of the country.
Yeah,
I don't know as much about the trade that you're in, but I bet you, do those unions support Democrats? Find out for me and report back.
Well, I'm retired now, but I'm saying all those union
You're retired? How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
41. I just turned 41.
And you're retiring?
Man, I I got retired because of the union, because of crap going on at work. I got retired.
Oh, they retired you. They forced you to retire.
No, they didn't force retirement. I had to retire because of medical issues. I've had,
okay.
In the past 3 years, I've had two fractured knees, a hip, fractured hip, broken tibia and fibula.
Related to your work?
Yeah.
You fell off the power pole or something? You couldn't focus, or what happened to you?
Well, no, like my left ACL, I just climbed the ladder and my ACL gave out.
Wow.
A fractured knee, I was walking in a house and they had the lights turned off and I tripped. A fractured knee, and I mean, just crap like that happened. But when it happened, they said, okay, here we'll pay you this amount per month, and we'll pay you 2 years salary to buy you out.
So they'll pay you a 2-year salary to buy you out, and so now you're retired. Are you going to do other work, or do you have any plans?
Because I get paid. I still got health benefits. I get paid every month.
Man, you remind me of Frederick, who's also in his 40s, and he's retired because he's a retired veteran, and he's just sitting around listening to shows and calling in and talking a bunch of nonsense. Not that you're talking nonsense, but he is.
Well,
You're talking.
Mine's medical issues, man. I mean, all my stuff happened on the job, happened at work, and they said I couldn't do that. They said that I wasn't physically able to do what they wanted me to do.
Right.
So they offered, I could fault it and try to go back, but man,
No, you could find something else to do. Find non-union work or something, or start your own thing. But only reason I'm saying that is because it's not good to be. What's that thing when you're just sitting around? What is that?
You get actually
idle.
Around,
yeah, not good. Good to be perfect word. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's not good to be idle.
But I'm not idle. I got, I got 6 acres of land. I got.
Oh, so you're working. So you're working your land.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Keep busy. Do stuff that's good and useful and.
Yeah, man, contribute to society.
But do you understand my point about unions being kind of spoiling some of the workers?
Some of them are now.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this now, like a teachers union. You get 3 months off a year automatically.
But that has nothing to do with the union, I think. But you're right. Yeah.
But you get that. You get time off every year. And I don't know about you, but when I was going to school, they want to gripe about pay. Yep. I never walked through the park lot and see a teacher driving an old car.
Say again?
I said, when they want to gripe about pay, I never walked through the park lot of my school and seen a 20-year-old car out there.
They're driving fine cars, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's, you're driving a brand new car, you're eating, and then there's crap now to protect them with. And you go watch TikTok. They got a teacher on going, well, I came out to my kids today as trans.
Right.
And I feel so happy I was confirmed by a 5-year-old. And their jobs are protected.
Right.
That's not right.
The teachers unions and then they support all kinds of corrupt stuff, and it's against the will of some of the teachers. It's forced. Somebody said in the D-Live chat that it's forced socialism, is what it is.
Well, I do have problems with union. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of stuff they do. It's
right.
Like you pay money into it, and they will protect you at a certain point. But when you're out there working at midnight, on a 16-hour shift, they're out eating lunch, and you're paying for it.
Yeah.
So I do understand that point.
Right.
Man, I ain't gonna hold you up, man. That's a good conversation.
It's a great call. I appreciate it. It's a good topic. I like that type of topic because it's what a lot of people are.
Yeah, man, I can see the good and bad in both the sides of it. But
and the companies. Somebody said, "Oh, Hake has been a shill for the capitalist, huge corporations and stuff." I'm not. Those are it's evil versus evil for sure.
No, I just say from my perspective of the two companies that I work for in this field, I prefer the union. Now, different companies, different jobs, different unions, different stuff happens.
Right.
So from my perspective, I worked for Bell for years, so that's why I like them.
Okay. Nice, man.
Man, you have a good day, man. I'll let you go on your show.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Take care. Oops, I hung up on him there, but I wanted to make sure I didn't hear that click again. I'm traumatized from that click. Boy, oh boy. unions. Let's see here. Before I get back to callers, hang tight, callers. I will get to you. Did you hear about this? I saw this on the far left female run outlet, The Skim. California versus Walgreens. The story from the ladies at The Skim, those females, shout out. It's Women's History Month. That's why I played the Who Are Parents. California is breaking up with Walgreens. What's happening? Earlier this year, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, gave pharmacies, this is the Biden FDA, just the scum of the earth, gave pharmacies the okay to dispense abortion pills, baby-killing pills, to patients with prescriptions in states where it is legal. Walgreens and CVS were on board with the plan until last week. Walgreens, the country's second-largest pharmacy chain, announced that they won't be selling the abortion pill mifepristone, or whatever you pronounce it. Help me out, Lisa. Walgreens announced they won't be selling mifepristone in 20 states. That's the abortion pill, right? It comes after the Republican attorneys general, AGs, in those states threatened to take legal action against pharmacies that provide that pill. Currently, Walgreens does not dispense the abortion pill in any state. However, it plans to distribute the pills based on where it is legal and operationally feasible. The company's stance sounds wishy-washy to me, right? Sounds like they're just going with the flow, trying to follow whoever's going to allow them to do whatever. But that has California Governor Gavin Newsom, sleazy scum of the earth Democrat. Slicked hair, though. Looks like a Chad, but is not. He's a beta. He said Walgreens just lost a big customer, as in California. What? So yesterday, Gavin Newsom, the beta governor from California, is meddling with Walgreens' business with other states. He announced the state will no longer work with Walgreens. He reportedly ordered, commie capitalism, right? He reportedly ordered the California Department of Health and Human Services, HHS for California, to review all ties between the state and the company of Walgreens, including the state's two largest public insurance plans. Nearly 14 million low-income Californians, so-called low-income Californians, about one-third of the state's population, is low income, quote unquote. They're on the public plan Medi-Cal alone. But it's unclear how much business those public insurance plans do with Walgreens. So Gavin Newsom said the state won't do business with Walgreens or any company that cowers to the extremists. Extremists who are not for baby killing pills, right? And puts women's lives at risk. Oh, so Gavin Newsom is pretending to cherish women like Hake, but not like Hake. Meanwhile, Rite Aid and CVS have not announced a change in their policies yet. Medication abortions account for more than half of baby killing in the United States. Unborn baby, right? That's according to the Skim. Following the overturn of Roe v. Wade, which is the ridiculous, decision, Supreme Court misdecision in 1973 that said, oh, it's a matter of privacy. There's a right to privacy. A woman and her doctor. Stupid. Abortion pills, yeah, it does. Abortion pills have become a focal point for so-called abortion rights supporters and anti-abortion activists, meaning pro-life advocates. Only time will tell how long the decades-old drug remains accessible to 40 million women nationwide. 40 million women would lose abortion access if courts block the pill, according to a study. So there's like this covert abortion pill network that's growing. Just kind of like the those bootleggers, people bootlegging their alcohol. See if the abortion pill is legal in your state. These women love killing the babies. So sick, so wrong. Right? Never touch anyone. Stop having sex out of wedlock. How about that? If Hake ate alpha jerky, he'd fly his Dixie flag. Indeed, I would. Just a little promo here. I need to order my more of my alpha jerky. Speaking of alpha, coming up, it's 10:36 here in Los Angeles, and I got my second missed call from junk mail calls. Just this show or less. But we got Joel Friday TV coming up. Are you ready for that extra hour, Hassan? Joel Friday TV, he gave the thumbs up. He's on from 11 to 12 Pacific time every Tuesday. Next week, he'll be on an hour earlier because we spring forward, guys. Joel Friday TV on YouTube. I think he will be starting his audio podcasts, right? All right. Let me get to John in Kentucky on the line. John, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just
Nice.
going to get on the argue for a little bit.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Do you ever do positive stories on the show?
Oh, yeah. I
Or is it
do.
always just belly aching and complaining?
I like that word, belly aching. Yeah, I did a
I got that from you.
I did a positive song. Did you hear Who Our Parents
No,
song?
no. I ain't been listening that long. I don't like your music either.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about stories, man.
Quit your belly aching about my music. Okay. Oh, yeah. The January 6th propaganda falling apart. That's a positive story. It's correcting a negative anyway.
Explain.
So the mainstream media pretended that January 6th was an insurrection. And
It was. Go ahead.
And Tucker Carlson and Hake has been doing this for ages, but it doesn't really sink in for you. But we proved that it was a mostly peaceful protest and not an insurrection at all.
We proved.
Yep.
Did you say we?
Yes, we.
Are you a lawyer or something?
No, it was me and Tucker.
Investigators?
Tucker and I proved that it was mostly peaceful chaos. Another Anyway, go ahead.
I did see a video of this guy with a MAGA hat on speaking into the camera saying, talking to the police saying, y'all need to stop this, what's going on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he
I
was
remember that.
separate from what was going on.
Right.
But it was still Trump supporters. It was just the ones who were out of control.
Yeah, but those
Still
weren't
Trump supporters.
insurrectionists at all. It was a riot. There was some people rioting, and they may have been Trump supporters. Some of them, sure. They were out of line for sure.
All of them.
Yeah.
It was all of them.
No. You ever heard of Jaden X? James Earl?
No, don't know
John
who that
Earl
is.
Sullivan. John Earl
No.
Sullivan. He was a Black Lives Matter grifter. He was not a Trump supporter.
Oh, there's that one.
Yeah, there's one. So you said
You got any
all.
more?
So that proves you wrong.
You got any more?
No, I don't need any more. I just proved
So
you wrong already.
99.9999 was Trump.
But you
Okay.
don't even know. You're just making an assumption. You have no idea what
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
you know
about.
how y'all do, y'all conspiracy theorists. Y'all said that
Conspiracy
it was Black
fact.
Lives Matter, huh?
Conspiracy fact.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
y'all said Black Lives Matter was in there. No, not Black Lives Matter. What's the other group
Antifa.
called?
Antifa.
Antifa. Yeah.
Why are you
Y'all
laughing?
said Antifa was doing that, dressed up as like Trump supporters.
We don't
That's
know.
hilarious, man.
Why is it hilarious?
Hey, were you there? I wasn't
I
put
was
it
not.
past you, man.
I was not. So why is it hilarious?
Because you know good and well that it wasn't no Antifa there.
I don't know good and well anything other than that it was not an insurrection.
MAGA hats
Why do you
and
call it an
tri-
insurrection?
Because man, they were going in them offices taking anything they wanted to. They took desks. They were in Pelosi's office taking stuff, doing stuff.
And that's
That's
an
an insurrection, man.
That's an insurrection to you?
Can you think of any other event that's ever happened in the course of American history where something like this has happened?
Yes. Worse.
Like what?
Worse.
Like what?
The
I ain't talking about the Civil War.
The Black Lives Matter insurrection, where they burned down.
Get out of here.
They burned
Get
down
outta
police.
here.
They burned down police precincts. They tried to burn people
That was
alive
a-
inside
That was a white
courthouses.
person that did that. That wasn't no black person. That was a white person.
I don't care. It was Black Lives Matter. They tried to, and
No,
I don't
that
know
was
if they were
Antifa.
normal.
That was Antifa. That wasn't no Black
That's
Lives
Black Lives
Matter.
Matter. Same thing. They are the same thing.
No, it's not the same
Yes,
thing.
it is. It is.
No, you
Yes,
can't.
it is.
You can't have white people running around knocking windows
They're not
out
normal whites.
and then saying it's
Those are
Black
not normal
Lives
whites.
Matter.
And that was
You
an
didn't see no
insurrection.
black
This
person
stealing
normal.
Nancy Pelosi's laptop is not an insurrection, buddy.
Oh, it's
You
not.
fell for the mainstream media, and you should know better.
No, you're just a conspiracy theorist, Hake.
You're the one who's saying stuff and don't even have any proof about it.
Well, I just look at the videos and stuff that come on TV. So
See,
I just
exactly.
go with my. Yeah, and what do you go by?
I
You
go by
assume.
what I see on TV too, and it's common sense. But I have a more clear mind, I guess, on this issue than you
Sure
have.
you do. Sure you do.
I
It's
have,
your
thank
job
you.
to be biased toward the information. It's your job. You would never admit to being wrong and
Yeah, I have.
the other side being somewhat right.
I
on
admitted to
certain
being
things.
I admitted to being wrong that Officer Sicknick died by a fire extinguisher to the
Who's
head.
that?
I was wrong about that.
Oh, that guy. Oh, yeah. And whoever
Why are you
did that
getting? Why are you
deserves the
turning all
death penalty.
female and sarcastic on me when I prove you
What are you
wrong?
talking about, female and sarcastic? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Because you're going, oh yeah, that guy.
Because I didn't know who he was at first until you said the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay,
and the fire
yeah, I know who
extinguisher
that
had
is.
nothing to do with his death. It was fake
And,
news.
Hey, there's nothing female about me, so I don't know what you're talking about when I say, oh yeah, that's just
That's called
you know.
denial.
Wh-
Do you
what's
do
denial?
you cherish women?
I love women, man.
Nice. So does Jesse Lee and
I
Hake.
love wo-
If I
no,
love
no, y'all
anyone, I
don't.
love women.
Don't get me started on that. I love women though, man. Even though I'm married, man, the woman is like God's. The woman is God's gift to us. You know.
Man, that's wild. I appreciate it, John. So yeah, that was I was complaining, but I was happy that the record was being corrected on a big scale with Tucker's show. That's nice.
But there's still a lot of people locked up, man. So you know, justice prevails somewhat in this country.
Okay, man.
No,
But
that's
yeah,
good, ain't it?
that's the best I can do as far as not belly aching. Appreciate it, John in Kentucky.
Hey, as soon as you get off the phone with me, you're about to say something negative and start belly aching again. I guarantee you. I'm about
Okay.
to start the countdown, starting
right.
at 10. Go ahead and hang up.
All right.
Go ahead and hang up.
Happy
10
Women's
seconds.
History Month.
Go ahead and hang up.
All
10
right, bye.
seconds.
All right. 10, 9. Can I do it? Can I do it? Artie Art from Ohio is on the line. Art, how you doing, man?
I'm all right. How you doing? How you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Just to get off subject, what I was calling about, I find it awfully funny or whatnot that they went to that basement or whatnot. And, I guess was setting the explosives off in that basement at the Capitol on the January the 6th. And I would go to say, well, that sound like that might have been some inside knowledge, because how would a person know how to get to that basement or whatnot, to that Capitol or whatnot? And then on something that he said, the last caller was saying, John of Kentucky, I thought that I heard that they did find some Trump imposters or whatnot, some MAGA imposters that was Antifa that was down there at the Capitol. Well, I thought I heard that was factually found out that there was some Antifa that was dressed up in Trump attire that was at the Capitol. So that's what I thought I heard. That actually came out.
That may
And then,
be. I
it
don't
was-
know. I haven't paid too much attention to all this stuff. You know how you just get tired of this because the mainstream media is all pounding about January 6th like it was this big old thing. And they've long forgotten about Black Lives Matter tearing apart whole communities. And those people don't have the money to build back. But the feds, they can build back bitter enemies. Anyway, yeah.
Well, why am I keep hearing about a dude with hornet things on his head or whatnot, going in there, standing at a podium or whatnot, talking at the Capitol? What happened to all the people that was down there throwing fire bombs or whatever they was doing when they was in the basement, throwing explosives at the Capitol.
I hadn't heard about this story, about the basement and the explosives. I remember hearing about some like pipe bomb being planted outside somewhere, and they never found those people, and who knows who they were, but they somehow don't seem all that interested in finding out or incapable of finding out. I don't know.
Allegedly, but that's what I'm saying. That's awfully funny that you're able to find all these other people that came into the Capitol or whatnot, but you can't find out the people that came in with explosives, would allegedly let off explosives in the basement, which will let me know that they wasn't Trump supporters, or they wasn't there just to come there to protest freely. Which I found out that they had license to be down there protesting. In the first, they got license from the state to be on the Capitol protesting.
True.
So it wasn't even illegal. But my thing is this: if you so-called can't find the people that was letting off them pipe bombs in the basement, that would let you know that they were not Trump supporters. They had to either be Antifa or some unknown terrorists, that they obviously came there with masked up and came there with the intention to do that. That's why they didn't get caught. But they obviously had masks on or something to where you wouldn't be able to identify them.
Right.
Versus the people who came down there with their little MAGA stuff on. They just came down there to basically freedom to protest, and the freedom that Americans have to protest on Capitol property. So that's my point right there. My second thing is it was something else. The officer that got killed down there was not. Yeah, he didn't get killed by no fire extinguisher. I think they said, what did they say happened to him, Hake?
He had a stroke, and maybe the stress of the event contributed to that stroke. Yeah. Exactly.
It was said that it was never shown, or something like that was never shown, allegedly, on both of our ends or whatnot. Allegedly, I think they said something like it was never shown that he had head trauma or something, anything that said that he was hit by any fire extinguisher or any type of assault. All the problems he had was basically of natural causes or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I know that other cops were hit with a fire extinguisher by some other guy who was charged, but
different dude.
But totally different guy, and he was not. He ended up being fine. People had problems. I mean, it was rough. People were moshing real hard, fighting with the cops, which I don't support fighting with the cops, obviously, or breaking windows and stuff. But I don't know who those people were, and they weren't me. And there's evil is in everybody, and everybody's capable of doing evil. And so why are you only focusing on the Trump supporters who did wrong, and not the Black Lives Matter, not your own selves, mainstream media type stuff? You know, it's very dishonest.
Well, I thought an insurrection was more so like a revolt.
Yeah, an insurrection is a power grab. That's when you take over the government
by killing any means, which ain't just fire one pipe bomb going off in the basement. It means that you kind of set the whole Capitol on fire. Allegedly, you pulling politicians out, taking them, hanging them by a gallows, or just killing people in front of the camera. That's an insurrection. You talking about people just going in and breaking the window here and there, and walking peacefully through a line. Let alone, I just seen footage of two black cops saying that. I think they were saying, the black cops were saying, I don't know word for word what they're saying, but from my understanding, they were saying that they were set up. The police were saying, the two of these black cops were saying they were set up by the politicians or whatnot when the whole so-called alleged insurrection was going on. Meaning, I guess they were saying that Nancy Pelosi was supposed to have had more officers or something, or the National Guard down there, but she didn't. She called them off, and that black cops were saying they were set up. Yeah, and they ain't showing that video.
Wow.
But I really called in to talk about Joanna from Phoenix, Arizona, calling you last Friday.
Okay, I don't remember her. Go ahead.
Joe. I call her Joanna.
Oh, okay, Joe. Yeah, Joanna. Sleepy Joe from Phoenix, Arizona. Yes.
Oh yeah. Man, he said this libtard said, do you trust Congress? No, we don't. I mean, who would trust them, man?
Right.
If you've been alive for over the last 5 to 6 years, and all the stuff they've been doing has been illegal, switch hitting, what's good for what's good for me ain't good for you, and what's good for you ain't good for me. So basically, they got two tiers of government, two tiers of law, versus the Black Lives Matter and Antifa and the MAGA. You basically holding them. You not holding them both to the same caliber or the same constitution. Y'all making up rules as y'all go. Who would trust the government? Slow Joanna from Phoenix, Arizona, man. And that's just only one thing. That's just only one thing to think about. Let alone, did you hear about the Zelensky dude talking about the Americans, our American kids or whatnot going to go have fight in the war?
Really?
That?
I did not hear that. Is he threatening that because if this war keeps dragging on, the whole world is going to have to go to war?
Yeah.
Zelensky of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Weak.
And it's like, dude, you just because that Biden regime is letting you run your mouth and talk all crazy, you don't run nothing. And I can almost guarantee you it ain't going to be a whole bunch of American kids that you think is going to be going to participate in that war. Because, no, we don't support it. And it ain't the fact that we don't support it. Who would want to go fight for a corrupt government that you don't know whether they just sending you out there just to die, just like how they set up a little pandemic or whatnot with this COVID-19? Don't nobody, if you were an American citizen, you seeing everything, you would not trust this government, how it's being ran and the people that's in the government and whatnot. So I think that Zelensky, Joe Biden got him fooled, and a lot of these liberals got him fooled. Because a lot of Americans ain't as dumb as what Zelensky thinks. We see what's going on. And then your man Sean Penn is over there talking about the actor that gave Zelensky that award.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about that they need more planes or they need more tanks. And my thing is, I'm sitting there looking at Sean Penn. He looks like he's a paid-off CIA operative agent or whatnot. He looks like he on camera high off cocaine or something.
Yeah.
Like, ain't nobody listening to you. You a lame dude. Just like that Greta Thunberg. We ain't paying y'all. I don't know how they getting all this airtime. We ain't paying y'all no attention, man. Go back under that rock and hard. Thank you for your time, Hake. I'll catch you later, bud.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, Snopes says Zelensky did say the U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending our sons and daughters to war. He's not. Is Zelensky sending his sons and daughters to war? Does he even have sons and daughters? However, he was talking about a hypothetical situation in which Ukraine loses the war against Russia that would lead to a broader conflict. So he claims. I'm kind of happy because China says that they're supporting Russia. Isn't that nice? Some super chats, guys, real quick here. On streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, John WX25 says, hippie white female plus multiple sex partners, sorry kids, plus LSD equals Ken Burns, a waste of flesh. Whoa. Loves soda, does not like juice, even though he should probably like juice. Should I A, listen to Hake music, B, chew on aluminum foil while drinking bleach, or C, go to business with a basketball American? Go into business with a basketball American, meaning a black American. It's a racist dog whistle. Tough decision to make, says Love Soda does not like juice. You should like juice, and you're going to drink juice, and you're going to like juice, and you're going to like Hake music. Soul Conscious says, James, I want to wish the ladies happy Women's History on your show. Nobody honors women better than you. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Guys, this has been the Hake Report. Rick in Hampton, Virginia, wanted to talk about Trump in 2024. Hake's opinion? I'd be all for it, man. But now I cannot get to you. It's time for Hake music. And then after that, go to Joel Friday TV. Joel Friday TV will be streaming in about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 minutes. No, it'll be quick. It'll be quick. But now is the time for some music. This is Ohio by Cocorosie. It is a cover originally by Damien Jurado. Damien Jurado from the 1999 album Rehearsals for Departure. But this is from the 2005 compilation by A Believer magazine, the 2005 music issue. Cocorosie does a cover of Damien Jurado, Ohio. Adios, America. Bye.